Huh?
Sing.
What if I don't want to sing?
Sing.
Huh?
Sing.
Okay, sing.
I love you. You do it. How about you?
How about you?
How about you?
Sing.
No.
Sing.
No.
Why?
You sing.
Oh, you sing.
No, how about you?
How about you?
How about you? I want to sing.
I'm not a very good singer.
I love you. I love you in the evening and the morning.
Is that too far, Fiona?
Yes.
Oh.
Okay.
Filming a video has become infinitely harder now for many reasons. Our brains don't work like they used to, and we don't get out much. You know when you say to somebody, I don't get out much, or you don't get out much? We literally don't get out much. This is the second time in 3 months that we have been out without a little one in the car seat behind us. So the in-laws graciously offered to babysit tonight to allow us to go out for dinner for our birthdays. Sorry, I'm not actually going that fast. Anyway, so Joy's holding the camera. We don't have the microphone. We don't have the little stand thing. Like literally, we are losing our minds. It's like we have never done this before. So we're out on a date. Joy looks beautiful. She always does. So, a couple of things to talk about since it's been a long time since we recorded any sort of interesting video. A couple of people commented on my Instagram when I said, what should I make a video about? One person commented and said they wanted to know if I had $100,000 to spend on a car, what would it be? And to be honest, $100,000 to spend on a car is a weird number these days. So back like 20 years ago, if you said $100,000 for a car, that would be insane. But you can actually buy like a Cadillac Escalade for $100,000 now. So I would say that I either need $50,000 to purchase a Genesis G70. That would be my preference in an affordable car. And then if I really wanted what I wanted, it would be something that would be like north of $350,000. So $100,000 could probably buy a pretty sweet motorhome with that. Yes, I said motorhome. I would love to have a Sprinter motorhome and just tour Canada. Yeah. So anyway, now Joy and I are on the way to a restaurant. We have not ate in a restaurant, like inside in a decent restaurant since like March 15th. So this is interesting. It's gonna be weird. We went to Starbucks this morning. It was only the second time I've been inside of a Starbucks in 5 months, and it was weird. You just sit there with the mask on, and then you take your mask off, and you drink your coffee, and you eat your bagel, and you put your mask back on, and there's nobody in there. Anyway, I am rambling now.
What was the other thing that someone asked?
Oh, the other thing asked. Somebody asked, what have I been doing during this whole
What have you learned?
lockdown, or what have I learned? Well, okay, what I've been doing is eating. That is evident by the waistline. Going to do something about that. What have I learned? Well, in a sense, I guess I've learned that you don't need to always be out and doing things. Like, we've spent a lot of time at home in our backyard and stuff, but I guess the biggest thing I learned is you need people. Like, people are not meant to be isolated socially distant. We're physically distant. We're not socially distant. So we need people. We need people in our lives to keep us sane. And so yeah, that's what I've learned. Let's talk about the other thing, though. The other thing
It's a bumpy road.
is the 3-year-old back at home that came to our house 3 months ago yesterday. That has been interesting. For the first week, I think I talked about this in the last video, maybe. First week, honestly thought I was going to die. Like, honestly. I thought my life is over and I am going to die. It's a pretty big adjustment, but we're in a pretty good routine now. Like, we do the same things every day, and we've realized with having a child that's come from a background with maybe some instability, that keeping a pretty good routine is important. And so keeping a routine helps us, but it also helps her to feel secure and helps the behaviors to be maybe less violent. Joy is laughing here because we've been through some pretty aggressive behaviors. Some of the behavior can be pretty aggressive, and it's just a child who's been through trauma. They get stuck and they're in a fight or flight mode quite often. And
Hers was fight.
Yeah, she's all about fighting. So, but you know, we're getting through that, and we're learning to manage it, and we're kind of understanding it, and you know, trying to be as compassionate as we can be. It's not easy, but she's a sweet little girl and exceptionally smart. So that keeps us on our toes a lot. One of the things, I guess I've heard other people that have kids say this a lot, and I'm starting to see it. When you have kids around, you really have to watch what you say and what you do, because they pick up on, you know, the things that you say and do. Like if you're driving and you're annoyed with the guy in front of you because he's going too slow, and you say, "Come on, move it." Like they catch up, you know, they catch on to that kind of thing. And, you know, I don't really... Whoa. That was a huge bump. So anyway, we don't want to have, you know, we don't want to have her picking up on some of our bad behaviors, because you realize some of the attitudes and the things that you say when there's a child around aren't things that you should be having an attitude about, or things that you should be saying. So that's been helpful, actually. But I'd like to turn the camera over now to Joy and get her 2 cents on the situation. I will preface this with, Joy has not been sleeping well for 3 months, and the little one does wake up pretty much every night. It's pretty rare that we get through a night entirely quiet. She wakes up crying, or she just wakes up and says, "Joy, Joy," and then Joy goes in there, and all she wants is Joy to pull her covers up around her. We've tried to teach her to do that herself, but anyway, she's come a long way. Honestly, when she first came, the thing that we heard a lot is she would wake up screaming or crying, saying, "Where are you going?" And she would constantly ask us, "Where are you going?" or "Where am I going?" And so every single day we have to reassure her. We built a calendar. We go over every day in detail with exactly what's happening, because there is quite a bit of anxiety surrounding, you know, leaving to go to an appointment, or somebody coming to our house, or us going to somebody's house, because she's sort of wondering, well, is this going to be my new home now? Is this where I'm going to live? And so we've had to be mindful of that. But anyway, back to what I was going to say. Joy hasn't had a lot of sleep, so she doesn't feel like she has a lot to offer in this video. But I think that she does, because one of the things Joy is doing is a lot more of the personal care with the child. I still do have work to do, and so sometimes I just basically lock myself in a room and do work, and Joy is the one managing the behavior, managing the personal care, the you know, the bathing, the toileting, all of that kind of stuff, and so she has a much different perspective on it all than I do, because I'm probably more involved in more of the funner aspects of looking after a child. Over to Joy.
I didn't want to be in this video at all, but he's forcing me. So
I'm not forcing her. I appreciate her input.
Yeah, I didn't think I slept well before she came along, and I quickly realized that I used to get quite a bit of sleep actually, and now I don't struggle. Today actually was pretty good, but there's been some really rough days that I have not wanted her around, and that sounds awful, but it's the truth.
Yeah, there were, back about a month ago, there were periods of time where we had so many scratches and bites and pinch marks on our arms and bruises that we looked like intravenous drug users. Like, for real. Like, our arms, I took pictures of it. Like, there have been times where, you know, we've had, like, Joy has had blood dripping down her arm because of an aggressive situation.
And that's improved, thankfully. But 3, I don't think, is an easy age. And compiling a child with trauma on top of it, trying to weed through what is just typical 3-year-old behavior versus what is manifesting itself from what she's experienced is kind of tricky. And it's hard. I feel like it's a lot. I feel like I'm losing the battle many days, and it's like I don't know what else to do with this child. So
we're pulling into the mall now, which is where the restaurant is that we're going to. I'm a big fan of Milestones. This isn't even a paid plug or anything. I don't like chain restaurants very much. I think it's kind of a cop-out to just go to a chain restaurant when there's so many independent restaurants you could go to. However, Milestones is the one chain restaurant that has not let us down yet. And
we don't have a permit. The permit's in the other car.
Dang it. We forgot
but thankfully that's a good spot. Okay.
We forgot my accessible parking permit. It's in the other car because this car got new brakes today and we had switched it to the other car. But thankfully, here we are. And the restaurant is just over there. Sorry, just sizing up the
accessibility.
Anyway.
And I think we will have to go inside.
I'm going to pull into this here parking spot and we'll catch up after dinner.